What's going on, everybody? It's Andrew John Hunter here, and welcome back to another video. Today we're taking a look at the new Find Some Freddy's 2 toy action figures by Jazwares. Now, before anyone asks or even point fingers, I did not get these figures directly in stores. I actually got these from Mercari as a set, and they arrived here last week, and I gotta say, they've been pretty fun to mess with. When I first saw images of the prototypes of these figures, for some reason, I wasn't sold on them. Maybe it was because I was viewing them from my phone, but when I got home from work and took a better look at them, I thought, you know what? Those actually look pretty cool. They actually look more on point than those Arcade Mayhem events action figures that Funko did a while back. Because for some reason, Funko never bothered to make action figures of the toys. And no, that Funtime Foxy figure from the Wave 2 line doesn't count. So we're gonna go over these one by one, starting with Toy Freddy. My favorite snack would have to be cheese with crackers. Yeah, I'm sorry, I just had to do that. For some reason, that line from that Q&A video became a hit, and I have no idea why. But anyways, Toy Freddy, as you could see, is looking very accurate to how he looked in the actual games. Everything about him is pretty much on point, from his paint applications to the mold itself. Like I'm really amazed of how accurate these figures are. This looks like something not even Funko could have done. As for his articulation, the arms can rotate 360 degrees. They can move up and down, and way more than the other action figures. They can even move. There's bicep articulation, elbow articulation, even the wrist can swivel, and it can also pivot. No waist articulation, but the legs have this cool thing where you can extend them. Anyway, they also have knee articulation and even some ankle articulation. So as you can see, these are way more posable than the Funko action figures. Just for a quick size comparison, here's Toy Freddy, and here he is next to a Shamrock Freddy figure I got at Walmart a few years back. And as you can see, the scaling isn't too bad. I mean, if you already have the Funko FNaF figures, or the FNaF 1 in this case, these would scale pretty well. If I were to nitpick, I kind of wish Toy Freddy came with his microphone. You know, say what you will about the Funko action figures, at least they were generous enough to give the animatronics their proper accessories. I know it would have been difficult to make the fingers highly posable, and let's be honest, I don't think it would have been possible for this size. And even if the fingers were posable, they would have probably broken off easily. But I think they could have worked their way around it with some interchangeable hands. Sorry about the change in background. The camera was having difficulty focusing on the figure. Another thing that's a tad annoying is that there is no head articulation. Not on Toy Freddy, not on Toy Bonnie, or Toy Chica. But there's actually a reason for that. There's a button on his back, and if you press it, his arm raises and his mouth opens and closes. That's pretty cool, I have to admit, but the gimmick does sacrifice head articulation. It's a neat gimmick, I'll admit, but if it comes at the cost of sacrificing head articulation, then that's a sign that you might have to find another way around it or scrap the gimmick entirely. And I'm sure people wouldn't have cared they had to manually move the mouth themselves. But despite this, I still love this figure. Up next is Toy Bonnie, and as you can see, Toy Bonnie is pretty much on point to how he looked in the games. But there are some nitpicks with the figure as well, such as his blue. The blue is way too dark to how it is in the games. It's accurate to how he looks in Help Wanted, I guess, but to every other game that he's in, his blue is not supposed to be this dark. As for the articulation, it's pretty much the same as Toy Freddy. The arms can rotate 360, they can go up and down, bicep swivel with elbow articulation, the hands can pivot and rotate. The ears are stuck like this, so there's no articulation there. And like with Toy Freddy, there is no waist articulation. And he also lost his tail. What the heck, Jazwares? Anyways, his legs also do that extension thing, which does help with posability a bit. And he also has some swiveling around the knees, and his ankles can also move. And that's really about it. Another thing I forgot to mention is that Toy Bonnie has this would focus. He has this weird tongue thing going on. I know Toy Bonnie's mouth is red in the games, but I don't recall him having a tongue. It's very strange. And like before, he has this gimmick where if you press the button, then his mouth opens and his arms raise up. But mine has a tendency to get stuck, which on one hand does offer some more posing options for me. I could pose him as if he's about to jump scare the player, and I won't have to press the button. But overall, I really like this Toy Bonnie figure. Next up is everyone's favorite simp bait character, Toy Chica. And like before, she's looking very on point to how she looked in the game. Though I don't recall her panties looking this dark in the games. And like before, she has the same basic articulation as the others. There isn't much I could complain about Toy Chica other than, I guess, the lack of her cupcake, the lack of head articulation and waist articulation. But one other thing that does suck on mine is that her mouth and arms does still do that jump scare action, but mine is broken, so I can't show it here. But luckily, I can still move her arms and not worry about them going down. Because if the arms going up and down were linked with the jump scare action, that would have crippled arm movement so badly. Thank God that's not the case here. But her mouth can still open. Overall, Toy Chica's looking good. And she died on me. Last but not least is probably the most anticipated character to get an action figure, the Mangle. And I gotta say, Jazwares did her pretty well. I know she's not 100% on point to her in-game appearance, but to be fair, how else could have Jazwares translated that complex design into an action figure? This is probably the best they could have done. One issue I do have with Mangle is that her tufts of fur are a bit too elongated, and her ears do look a bit too big. But beside that, she still looks fine, and like with the other figures, she has that feature where if you press the button, her jaw opens, and she has a tongue now, but at least it's not a molded-in tongue. And they did forget that endo jaw in her mouth, but in fairness, that would have probably interfered with the mechanism. As for her body, it looks about right, from her hand on top of her torso, the endo head, and even her legs. And at least they didn't forget to give her a tail. But I'm not a fan of how they did the leg. I get this was just, I guess this was done to simplify production, but I don't think it would have hurt to go the extra effort to give her a third leg. This just looks very cheap. As for her articulation, she's got plenty of joints, but depending on what surface you have her on, she could be difficult to stand. And her articulation is pretty limited, I have to say. I mean, this is just a single molded-in piece. The neck joint right here doesn't move. Her legs and arms do have some posability. As for her endo jaw, you can move the jaw if I can find. Oh. There's no button. You just press the button. You just press a lever behind the jaw and it moves. I don't like how the jaw is black. It should be gray, but it's not a huge deal. And also Mangle's head tends to pop off pretty easily. Overall, I still like Mangle, but it seems like Jazwares were holding back on her a bit. After saying hello to Nala, there's one feature I forgot to showcase. That being, the eyes of these figures can glow in the dark. So, we're going to turn off the light and see how well they glow. I'm not sure if it's picking up well on camera, but you could see the lights of them some, but in person, these eyes glow very well. I do think the green is a bit of a tacky choice. I think they should have had the color of their irises be the color that's glowing. In conclusion, I'm very impressed with what Jazwares has done here. These figures have some things that not even Funko could have done, like their articulation, the accuracy of these figures, though to be fair, Funko were capable of making accurate figures before, but their toy figures of the Arcade Mayhem event skins weren't the best. These ones blow them right out of the park. If you manage to find these figures off eBay or even Mercari, definitely pick them up. Anyways, this is Andrew Joe 100 signing off, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.